Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start today on feeling spirit, and that's my topic today. Was be feeling spirit and how spirit works with you. When I teach mediumship, it's this connection of spirit speaking to you, and I think a lot of the things are the connecting to spirit or connecting to a higher sense of consciousness is to listen, is to communicate with the spirit, is to listen. And a lot of times with my mother used to say, "Give you have that intuition, you have that inner vibration, that inner consciousness within your being, listening to what spirit is trying to communicate." Because you'll either actually feel something on your face, you'll feel like the temperature in a room will change. Uh, Different things will happen in the vibration as you feel the spirit near you. The perception of what it is. When orbs appear in rooms, when orbs appear in the room, you'll actually see like a bright light or a vibration of light or a connection of light going through the room. You'll see like this snap of light or a connection of something moving through the room. And a spirit trying to manifest, a spirit trying to manifest up near you. The spirit has to move, because when you take orbs and they're movement, you like to see lines within the pictures, lines going through the pictures, as spirit moving through, as the orbs are moving through the room, the space. And that's when you feel spirit, that's when you connect to them. The best practice is kind of just listening to you. Listening, I don't want to say, a lot of people say, well, Lois, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to listen to myself. Is to quiet the mind, quiet that connection to self, quiet it. And I used to work when I was young, I used to light a candle, set out in front of me, and I would look at the candle. I would pay attention to that candle while it was sitting there in front of me. And as my mind would waver, I would say, "Oh, I feel somebody here," or "I do this," or "I sense that," or I would get a symbol, or I would get a vibration. I would stop that. I would bring my focus back to the candle. I would continually do that for hours, continually just look at the candle. What happens with that is you train your mind to not waver, to not move all over the place, not to be scattered. And what you're doing is you're focusing your intent on an object, and just look at the object. And every time your position or vibration changes, bring it back to the object. I always liked when I was a kid, we used to look at a flower. Look at a flower in front of you. Picture a flower, a rose, an orchid, whatever flower that you perceive. And then as you start to visualize the flower, you become the flower. The stem, the leaves, the bloom, you become the flower. You become the object, whether it's a toy truck, whether it's a, a brick, whether it's a flower, whether it's a small tree, whatever you envision within your mind, you become that. And when your mind wavers from that, when it goes off looking somewhere, when you see a spirit or vibration. Well, I listen to Louise Hayes, and she's passed her spirit now, but I listen to Louise Hayes, and she'll say, well, think about the thoughts. And if your mind wavers, thank the spirit for allowing you to see it, and bring yourself back to focus, bring your self back to center, back to vibration, back. So what that does with you is when you're in the process of seeing spirit, you're not scattered. You don't have a person here, something going on here, something going on here, something going on there. It's just constant, like you can focus. You can focus on the one person, the one object, the one vibration. When I deal with spirit, when I work with spirit, I've got people walking up. So I've got to kind of pay attention to the people that are walking up, trying to speak to me, trying to talk to me, trying to speak to me, trying to talk to me. So I've got to get within that vibration of people speaking, of people working with that situation, with that vibration, with that connection. What you actually do is what you try to do is you try to focus your intent on that vibration within your connection. So train yourself to look, get quiet, and calm your mind. Don't get into mediumship trying to feel the spirit, connecting to the spirit, and have yourself completely out of sort. You're always focusing on something else, putting yourself somewhere else, doing that. Focus on one situation, one vibration. How you communicate with spirit? Are you clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient? What is your senses telling you? Do you see them? Do you actually have physical presence of spirit? Do you sense? Do you hear? Do you smell spirit? Do you smell the vibration? Do you smell perfume? Do you smell coffee in the room? Do you smell alcohol? Do you smell that? And if you give your intention to that vibration, to that gift, that situational gift, then what happens is you start to improve that gift. You start to bring that gift to that connection within your life. Then as you progress and you move with that situation, then what you do is your guides will literally bring other people to other gifts in your vibration. They'll bring other gifts within your vibration. So if you allow yourself just to focus on the gift, then you might not know right away what the gift is, what the vibration of the gift is. You might say, I don't know what the gift is. I don't know what I have. That's where that sitting quiet happens, of feeling the spirit, feeling how a spirit works with you, feeling how it's worked with you, because spirit will work. And you have to discern spirit. And always through my work as a medium, as working with spirit, I discern them. There's plenty of people on the spirit side of life, I think jokesters that have little games and they want to play, but you discern the spirit, you discern the vibration. When I work finding people, when I do that situation, if spirit wants me to find somebody, then they'll show me where the person is. If you have a dream, you have a vision, and somebody has been lost, and there's woods and there's water, and they're lost, but there's no state, there's no road, there's no name, there's no nothing. Through that information, the world's a big place. Where are they focusing you? Where are they trying to show you? If they just show you like woods, person, water, where is it? In Oregon? Is it in Canada? Is it overseas? Is it around me? Where is this happening? And if they don't answer you, if they don't come forth with an answer, then allow that to move away. Allow that to go away from me, because that doesn't bring the information, the vibration within the energy that I have to look at. So it's not bringing that situation, that vibration. So when you're working with spirit, when you're connecting with the spirit world, allow yourself to focus, allow yourself to connect into the spirit world, allow yourself to connect in with a vibration of spirit through that. Now, as we work with spirit, you're going to get stronger with it. You're going to get stronger as you progress further and further and further with the spirit. I'm a lot stronger with the spirit world now than I was when I was a kid, but I've been doing it ever since I've been a kid. So I have increased the feeling of spirit over the years. Whether you meditate constantly in your vibration, you speak to spirit, maybe do automatic writing, maybe you do something in your life that connects you to something else. Whatever you do, you'll become stronger at it if you continually do it. If you continually focus your mind with spirit, if you continually focus your mind with the spirit world, then that will become stronger. The feeling of spirit, feeling the spirit around you, will become stronger. When you do the, because I have a cabinet in my office, I have a cabinet that I have a chair in there. It's a small cabinet. looks like a little closet. That's a cabinet. And I go within that cabinet and I sit in that chair and I close the curtain in front of the cabinet. It puts me in a smaller space, a smaller vibrational space. If I wanted to meditate in this room I'm in now, I would have to fill the room with my energy, my vibration of energy, my vibration uh, uh, has a vibration of energy. So if we have a smaller space, you have a smaller space in your home, allow yourself to sit there. Because while you sit there, you focus your intent on spirit, you only have that small space to communicate with, that small connection of space. That's why mediums back in the day would have a cabinet in the seance room or a curtain to block off a corner of the seance room. It was to manifest spirit, it was to manifest. And now, sometimes back in the day, it was like fraudulent and things would happen behind the curtain. But the curtain has this aspect of putting yourself in a smaller space so that you only have to fill that smaller space with the energy you have within your being. And as you fill that space, the space becomes stronger. Same thing to do with the chair, same thing to do with the space that you're sitting in. It's all psychometry, and the energy of the space will become stronger as you meditate more in that space, do more in that vibration. It will become stronger. It will become this whole connection to strength and balance within the vibration. So remember, you are who you are. I can't tell you how to meditate. I can't tell you do it exactly this way. And that's why when I teach classes, teaching you how to feel spirit around you, I give you a lot of modalities of how to do it, because the modality that you're talking about, the modality that you have in your life, will be the one that fits you. Not what fits me. I might be able to stare at a candle for hours and never waver from that candle, but you might go, "Oh, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that." But I like this. This is what I like. I like doing this. Don't do that. Do what fits the vibration for you. Don't feel that because I teach you something or somebody else teaches you something, you have to specifically do it that way. That's not the question, because you might want to listen to music. When to get into this meditative state, you got to have music playing. Maybe you don't want music playing. Maybe you need completely quietness. Maybe you don't need too much stuff in your space when you meditate. Maybe you need stuff in your space. It's what fits you. So don't feel guilty if you've got a few things in your space. You'll pull out, that's my stuff. That's what I feel comfortable with. Feel comfortable with meditating, because if you don't feel comfortable with getting in touch with spirit, then you're not going to be able to do it. You won't be able to be, you'll be there for a little while, but you won't put the effort into it. And that's the effort is the key to feeling the spirit around you, getting them to manifest within the vibration around you, is how you personally feel and how you do it. Because we are all communicating differently. Our vibration, the water within our bodies, the vibration around us that we communicate within ourselves, lets us communicate with spirit. So not because we're all kind of gifted and some people have it and some people don't. We all have a gift. We all have that connection. How strong the connection is up to you. But the question too is, a lot of people can play a piano and maybe play on the big stage and be extremely good at it. I might be able to get up on stage and play chopsticks. I could be really good at chopsticks, but I might not be extremely powerful at what that person is playing. So everybody will have their significant gifts in communicating with spirit. But I have lights in my room when I meditate. I've got blue and red and green and all kinds of different orbs flowing through the room, lights within our space. But I've been meditating in that space for a while. I've been making myself quiet, and I picked that time. And spirit has this way of letting me know. I have a knowing that they're there. Whether even if I don't see them, I know that they're within the vibration. I know that they're connecting to me through connection from the spirit world. I know that connection is there. That vibration with spirit is there. Whether I see them right away or not, I know I can feel them. I can sense the temperature in a room change. A feeling around my vibration will change. I'll feel something here connecting to. Because when mediums work, and it doesn't matter with me or any other medium works, you know when you're connected to spirit, you know when you're in the flow, when when you're working with them and you're connecting to them and you're moving in that direction, you kind of know that feeling when you're there. And as a medium, if I get somebody in my office that I'm reading and I'm just not connecting, it's just not connecting to the vibration. It's not like I'm not there, I'm just haven't got to that flow with spirit. I haven't got to that connection with spirit. So I have to kind of stop the reading, or I have to stop the connection, because I'm not in that flow. I'm not flowing with spirit. So that's what I'm looking for, and that's all through breath. And I've said that before. It's all through breath. It's all through breathing. It's all through connecting to how you breathe and when you breathe and when you breathe. And I have students, people that I teach mediumship to, and I'll watch them read, and they'll get real, and they'll stop breathing. Their chest will stop moving. They'll stop breathing, and then they're still trying to read. What happens is when you do that, it drops you out of that vibrational spot, and then drops you. So then, once you say what you saw right before you dropped out of that, then you don't have any more information, because now you've dropped out. Now you have to start breathing again. Then you have to stop and do the ahs and the ands and the shoulds and everything. Then you have to stop and you have to start to breathe again. Then you come back into the reading again. But if you keep doing that, you keep stopping and moving and stopping throughout the vibration. So if you just breathe, allow yourself to breathe the vibration, allow yourself to learn how you breathe. So when you're actually in the work, you're not going to stop the breath. You're not going to say, I think I stopped breathing. See, you don't want to have to think about, am I breathing? Am I connecting right if I'm doing that? Because if you're doing that, see, I think my mother used to say, you don't want to be in the back of the boat, looking out the back of the boat into the water when the obstacles and different things that you have to look at are coming towards the front of the boat. You don't want to start worrying about, am I breathing? Am I doing this? Am I connecting it right? And your mind's just playing all these little repertoires within your mind. If that's all happening, you're not going to make that connection. Your spirit's not going to show up. They're not going to be there. And if they do show up, you're not going to really personally connect to them, because you're too busy looking out the back of the boat. Too busy looking out there instead of looking straight ahead. And that's through the work of watching something or becoming something or looking at something and just sitting there quietly. Whether you do whatever kind of work, I was taught years ago, think it so strongly that your spiritual and physical body has no other option but to comply. Think it so strongly in your mind, in your being, that it has no other option but to comply. And think it all the time. Don't second guess it. Don't move past it. Don't do anything. Think it so strongly that your spiritual and physical body has no other option but to comply. You want to do mediumship, then pick a vibration of mediumship. What do you want to do with mediumship? How do you want to do tarot cards? You want to do cards? Great. Then be the best card reader you can be. You want to connect to spirit through pendulums. You want to connect to spirit through smoke readings or flame cards or all this other stuff that I teach. Then be really good at that. Be connected to that. Be connected to that work. The reason mediums were today do a lot of mental mediumship. We used to do a lot of other types of mediumship, but that happened that people were doing things, and I mean, that didn't make it bad for the rest of us, but it did change mediumship and how speaking to spirit happened. Wasn't that connection of sitting in a room when I was a kid, and the table would move and it would spell out sentences, and you would sit in a room, the table moved twice, if it bounced twice, that was a B. It bounced 4 times, that was a D. And they would go through the alphabet, and it would spell out, it would take hours to spell out a sentence or a small message from the spirit world from the table. So there's a lot of things where people used to sit back in the day, but I was just talking today. I said, if I'd have been out of power a little bit longer, we probably would have been Amish. But the question here is, when the power was out here, I had time to sit in the quiet. It was dark. There was no computers going. There was no electric. There was nothing. And I was reading a book, and I was meditating, and I was getting quiet, and it was just peaceful. There was no rush. There was no rush. There's all this stuff that was going on in my life before the electric. Then it just came to a standstill. Then I had more time to get quiet and speak to spirit. So the question here is, find your sweet spot, that vibration within your being that say, oh, I can do that. I can meditate for 5 minutes at 7 o'clock at night. I can do that for spirit. I can communicate that moment for spirit. Then keep that connection to spirit at that moment. Set a priority of you saying, that moment I will speak to God, I will speak to spirit, I will speak to my guides, I will speak to this, I will speak to that. But you're looking for a spirit on the other side of life to come up and be around you, be in your vibration, be around you, so you can sense them or you can feel them. That's what you're really looking for. People are looking for that. But I explain to people, when you start this work, remember, we're going to start speaking to spirit, do this work. But remember, when you're speaking to spirit, when you're talking to spirit, set some kind of rules with the spirit world. Set your own particular rules with yourself. They're not to wake you up in the middle of the night. They're not to disrupt you while you're driving the car. They're not supposed to do this. Set your little rules. The vibration, if they do something, you're not going, I don't like that. I didn't like that. Don't allow them to keep doing it. Stop them. Say, no. That's not going to work for me. That's not playing with my vibration. Back when I was 18, 19 years old, I used to this red-haired guy. He's probably still back there somewhere. I don't know where he is. But he used to run up. In the middle of a conversation with somebody or something, he'd run up and slap me in the back of the head. And I would feel it. I would essentially feel it. I'm going, oh. And I'd feel the energy flow as he did that. Because he was thinking that he was getting my attention because he was here. But I had to explain to him, I said, no, we're not doing that, because I don't like the way that feels. I don't like the way that connection feels. I don't like it. Stop it. And he stopped it. Now what happens is I'll get a little feeling on my thumb. I worked it out with him. I said, pinch my thumb. Pinch my thumb on my right hand. And then if you do that, I'll know you're here. I'll know you're here and you're here. So when he's here, I'll get that feeling on my thumb. I'll get that feeling. So what you want to do is set the rules, set the particulars with them, especially if they're bringing information. Bring information through the night, and when you're sleeping and all this stuff, set the rules of how you perceive the information, how it's downloaded into your being. No sense you worrying for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks about somebody that got killed 3,000 miles away, and you have no idea where they are, no idea where the streets are, what the person's name is, any of that. You have no connection to that. That's just a filter of information flowing through the universal energy that you've just come in contact with, but it had not a meaning to you. And if it has a meaning to you, you're going to be able to decipher it. You're going to be able to put it in motion, get it set, get it vibration. Because when I work with finding people who are doing something in that vibration, I'll have to have a piece of their clothing. I'll have to have a piece of something that they wore, something that they've had within their life. I'll be able to touch base with that, touch in with that vibration. So that way I have that psychometry, or that sense of connection through something they own. Then it takes me right to where that individual is. It takes me to where that vibration of energy is. I'm not scattering. I'm not running all over the place. I'm touching base with something that they would have owned. That's when we do psychometry in my class, and I have people bring in objects and put it in a basket, and you pick an object out and you hold on to it and you see what you feel. What do you sense with the object? What do you feel with that object? What do you sense with that? What do you feel? And then you give the information that you got from the object, psychometry from the object. Same thing if you sit somewhere, you sit in somebody's house, you sit somewhere, you're going to sit somewhere. Somebody before you have sat there. They have taken a seat there at some point. They left some of their energy behind. So when you sit a different vibration, you're going to feel the energy that's in that space. That's why some faces you might walk into and you go, I don't like it here. I don't like the feeling. What's going on here? I don't like it. Get up and go. That's your first vibration from spirit. When you are sitting somewhere or doing something, your guides will say, it's not good for you. You need to go. That's that first connection, that first feeling when you're walking in somewhere and it doesn't feel right to you. Trust yourself. Trust the vibration within your being. You have to trust your intuition, your vibration within your life. Trust your intuition. Trust that connection to spirit. That is your first set with spirit, how to feel them. Is listen to how you personally, your being feels. When I teach putting yourself, doing the three things, wash your forehead, doing your fingers, making yourself your own pendulum. Making yourself your own pendulum. So you're considered with spirit world, you're like your own pendulum. You're a total size, you're the bottom of water, whatever's going on in your being, your thoughts, your conditionings within your life are manifested throughout your being. So you are your own pendulum, your own energy center. So when spirit walks up to you, something that affects me might not affect you. You might go, I don't feel it. I don't feel nothing here. But I feel it. I sense the energy because it's going to affect me of where my body type is. So when you're doing something or you're doing some kind of vibration, then how do you feel? When you do pendulum, so you do a pendulum or you do a pendulum and you're doing a pendulum, not everybody's going to go out and get a crystal pendulum and go, oh, that's it. It's all we're going to use. There's lapis pendulums. There's like must be thousands of different types of pendulums. Not every size fits everyone. Same thing with the spiritual work. Not everything fits everyone. It is what it fits to you. And that feeling with spirit, that connection to spirit. Because when I first saw my guide was when I was very young. And he appeared in my room, sitting in the corner of the room. I kept seeing a black shadow over there, but I knew that there was something there. As a kid, I knew there was something there. And at first, when I was a kid, I went and yelled to my mom that somebody was in my room. But my mother said, no, it is a spirit. So just entertain them, talk to them. They're here for your highest and best. So entertain them and speak to them and tell them that you would like to communicate. And I did that as a kid. And my guide, Jeff, came out of the corner of the room and actually came out and spoke to me. Spoke to me. He hasn't got quiet since, but he spoke to me. At that moment, it's because I gave him the opportunity to speak to me, talk to me. So then I got other guides. I've got Nora, who is a guide for me, works a lot with my health. I've got Joseph, who's another guide for me. I've got different guides that are moving throughout my auric field that I've met through my vibration. But when we get into guides, at one of these other shows, the guides, when we get into those, you can either connect to your higher self, go straight to the source, straight to the vibration. But a lot of these people, Nora, a lot of these vibrations of individuals that are around me are a connection or a visualization of me. They are me. I have a true belief in my life that through my lifetimes, I have lived many lifetimes. I have lived many essences and many lifetimes within my existence. Every one of the memories within every existence, every vibration, everything I've ever done in every lifetime is part of me in this lifetime today. So the person that I was in those lifetimes, those connections to those lifetimes is still within the being today. That's still person, that vibration. So I have a true understanding that the guides that follow you are an imprint of you. And a lot of times guides will show up within your being, not because they're like, oh my God, they're you. They're a part of you. And at this point in your life, you're going through something similar to that life or that incarnation or that vibration. You're going through that connection at this point. So that remembrance of you at that point appears. You see a guide, you see a person, but really that person, that vibration is you. That kind of freaks some people out. Go, really? But guides are assigned to us from the other side. Now, Jeff explains to me that he was assigned to me to be my guardian, to be my gatekeeper, to help me, to encourage me as I made this journey here on this earth plane. Because as above, so below, he affects me as I affect the spirit world. So by him being here is that connection to that village or that spirit world that I'm connected to. He helps me to encourage and bless the spirit world as they encourage and bless me here. So that's why I know when Jeff is here, because he's been assigned to me. I handpicked him. He's been assigned to me. He's my gatekeeper. So, but as we move forward to this feeling of spirit, this connection of feeling, set the feeling, set the vibration of how it connects to you. Not because I'm telling you this. Sit quiet. Ask your guides. Be specific with them. Talk to them. Don't be afraid to speak to them. Don't be afraid to tell them, like, haha, you need to do this. Explain to them what you're looking for. Before you go into a meditation, you're looking at connected guides, you're looking at your higher self, or you're looking at past life, or you're looking at something. What are you looking for spirit to speak to you about? Get a conversation started before you start that journey to the space where they're going to speak to you. Get a conversation started, because that's a guarantee. You're first starting this and spirit shows up all of a sudden, peeks and looks at you in the face, you're going to stop breathing. You're going to go, then you have to bring that all back to normal again. By that time, you can't bring them back. Then you're all upset because they should be coming back, because they should be done. You miss that opportunity right then. That's why you have to control or understand your breath. But set a communication with your guides. Talk to the guides. I talk to my guides all the time. I speak to them. I do affirmations. I do all kinds of stuff. I send information up to the spirit world. I inundate them with information of what I'm looking to have communicate within my being. I send that into the spirit world so I can get the information back that I personally would need on this earth plane. I might not know exactly what I need, but I kind of know a direction. It's like going into a supermarket. You know you need something, and they placed it somewhere in the supermarket, but you don't know exactly what aisle. So you're wandering through the store trying to figure out where it is until you come across a stock boy or somebody in the store, and you go, what aisle is that on? They go, oh, it's right over there. And then you head for it. Same thing with speaking to the spirit world. You might be in your life right now in a store. You're looking for something. You'd like to have some kind of gift from the spirit world. You want to have something, and it's placed somewhere on the shelf, somewhere in that store. And one of your guides, somebody will show up. The typical stockman or the busboy in the restaurant, or wherever it is, they're there in the store, and you stop for a moment and say, where is this? I really need this. And they go, oh, it's over on aisle 3. Go over there. And you go, and you find it. But you have to ask. You have to tell them. You have to explain to them that you want that. They could have you skipping around the store, and you could be in every corner of the store and never find what you're looking for, because you never really asked for what you need. Asked, and it will be given. Asked, you will receive. Asked, knock and the door be open. Asked, and you will receive. You have to ask. You have to explain to them. I learned that many years. Maybe I'm here to teach you, to help you and encourage you, because I spent a lot of my younger years when I was a little kid, through my teenage years and in my 20s, just trying to train myself so they wouldn't make me crazy. Train how they worked with me, trained how they communicated with my being. I went through a lot of this with them. I went through a lot of this of trial and error, trying to communicate and get that feeling of when they were here, how to feel the spirit here. When Lucerne, my guy Lucerne, showed up, he appeared behind me. Never at the beginning did he appear in front of me. He just appeared behind me, but I could know he was there. But he wouldn't speak to me. He wouldn't communicate with me. What he did was he sent Charles. Charles, my first trance guide, who worked with me through trance. But that feeling of him sitting there watching me, he wouldn't speak to me right off, but Charles showed up. And Charles became my first trance guide. That feeling of Charles being there and wanting to work with me. So I allowed Charles to work with me, work through my being. As Charles explained to me, I was being readied. My vibration was being readied for Lucerne, ready for him. So for a few years, I tranced Charles. Charles would work through me and speak through me. But then eventually Lucerne spoke to me. And he looked at me, just one word, said, maybe two words. He said, "You are ready." And then Lucerne then became my trance guide. And he's been my trance guide ever since. But I knew that he was there. I knew that he was there. I knew Jeff was there. I knew my other guides were there. My relatives, I know when they show up. My grandmother her house smelled like mothballs. People don't use mothballs anymore. I don't think they do. They don't use them that much. But my grandmother, boy, I think she bought them by the truckload. You walk my grandmother's house, you take your breath away for the smell of mothballs. So when my grandmother shows up, that one grandmother that I had that I knew, and I smell mothballs, I know exactly who it is. I know exactly who that vibration is. I know exactly where she fits. I know it's my grandma. I know she's here. She gives me that because that's the impression or the instinct I get from her. When my father shows up, I get an instinct of a strong smell of Old Spice. Old Spice. But he had this Old Spice that he would wear it for a while because and you would just smell the smell. But when he shows up, I'll get that vibration. My uncle, I smell 7 and 7. Seagram 7. I get this strong smell of Seagram 7 and a bubbly situation of he put Canada Dry in with his 7 and 7. So I get that sense of Canada Dry and Canadian. And I'd go, okay, my uncle's here. There are impressions they will give you from how you remember them. It's how they're going to work with you. And sometimes it's when these guys who are working with you, people are working with you and giving you that feeling of how they're trying to work with you, and that feeling, that connection, that sense, that feeling, you're going to know that it's them. You're going to just know that it's them. And sometimes your relatives will show up when you're trying to talk to somebody, trying to communicate with them, but your mother or your brother or somebody in the spirit world shows up. The reason they've shown up is the big reason they've shown up is because the same feeling you get with them connects to somebody in the person's life that you're speaking to. There's something with their vibration. There's something with their connection. So it's learning how to read your feelings or read what you're getting from spirit, connecting to that situation. Life's supposed to be balanced. I've always believed that our life is supposed to be comfortable for us. Now, sometimes we have things that have happened in our life, situations that happen in our life, but what if that vibration of that whole situation was more of you to connect to others, get them to where they need to be? Because they needed somebody on this earth plane like you to manage their life, to help them, to encourage them, to bless them with your presence, to move them higher in their consciousness so that they would have a better seat at the table when they get to the other side. Maybe you were the catalyst to place them there, place them at the dinner. I always tell you, some people we help in our life, their whole life they've been sitting at the kid table. then all of a sudden you go through some stuff in your life. It affects people. It affects situations. What it does is it moves them from the kid table to the adult table, moves them to that new table, that new connection. And that's through teaching and working with spirit. There's all kinds of spirit people on the other side, people that aren't still, there's people who are still sitting at the kid table, people that aren't as good as connected as they have. Not everybody in the spirit world is spiritual and, oh my God, they're wonderful people. Some people over there are just plain crazy. It's just simple. And there's nothing you can do about it because that's who they are. That's who their energy is, and that's how the energy affects you from the spirit world. So they don't change. Say your grandmother or your mother who was mean and nasty and doesn't really like anybody in the world, going to have the same energy there when you touch base with her. She's going to be this crotchety old woman, just not very friendly. So she's going to be that same person, not because she just gets wings and wanders around over there. No, the same vibration. So I like teaching people that communication with spirit. See, when you have that communication with spirit or that feeling of spirit, you're going to get a feeling of where you fit, where you connect yourself. That journey, that vibration that you're going to take when you end this earth plane and end up in the spirit world. It's that feeling of where you're going, that connection of how your life is moving, where you're going. We're all going to the spirit world. We're all going to end that. We're all going to be there. We're all going to know there's no like hell or anything. No, we're going there to the spirit world. Now, where in the spirit world you reside, whole different story. There's places in New York City. I used to live in New York City. Place in New York City, they're really high class, got doormen, got none, let people in the building. I mean, awesome views. The city, God, it's just awesome. Whew, awesome. Then there's parts of New York City that you don't go at night. You don't wander down the street. You don't wander in that neighborhood. There's just not really friendly people. Let's put it that way. So you can be in fancy part of town, nice vibration, or be somewhere where the energy is not as good as it should be, but it's where your thoughts are. And when you're doing this feeling of spirit, when your connection to the feeling of spirit, it's how do you feel with it? How do you connect to it? I don't care if an energy shows up and you go, "Ooh, I didn't like that energy." Then don't keep addressing that energy. Explain to it right that moment. Say, no, you don't belong here. I don't like this. No, you leave it alone. You don't have to show. I tell people say, all of us, we're going to do protection prayers. We're going to dance a little crazy. We're going to throw sea salt. We're going to light smudge. We're going to sage the whole room. We're going to do this. We're going to throw holy water. We're going to spray holy water all over the. Oh my God, we're just going to have this real protection party. No. Just quietly in your head, you go in to speak to spirit. Highest and best, nothing else. Highest and best. Highest and best for you. Not for me, not for somebody else that's here today, not for somebody else somewhere else in the world. Highest and best for you. What your mind thought is, where you are thinking. When you're going into meditation, when you're going into quiet to speak to spirit or feel spirit, don't go in and be miserable. Don't go in and like you're in a bad mood. You're not in a really extremely powerful mood. Don't go meditate. Because that energy that you propelled, see, that's it, psychometry, that energy that you're propelling within your being is felt from the spirit world. So if you're miserable, you are having a bad day, you are just, there are people in the spirit world that will feel that energy and they will pull up close to you because now you've entered the spirit world, that energy at the front door. That's why you focus yourself, you clear your mind, you clear the vibration before you venture into the spirit world. You clear it, you redo, reset, re-envision it. If you sit and tell yourself, oh, I'm going to go, I've just had a miserable day, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to speak to spirit. Well, you might speak to spirit, but it might not be the one that you want to speak to. Your highest and best, your connection to spirit, your connection to that higher sense of consciousness in your being. That's what you have to ask yourself. Where are you going? Where are you going to connect to in your being? You. So basic things today in this class I did today was to find a place in your home. Find a place that you're going to have that communication with spirit. Now, you can have communication with spirit anywhere you want, but if you have a space, you're going to be able to build the energy in that space, build the energy in that connection, that vibrational space. Every time you walk into it, it's just going to take on that energy at that vibration. That space is just your sacred space, your communication space, your spirit space. Find that. Find that. There's a movie, I think it was called The War Room. I think it was The War Room. Cece spent, she was in it, and she had this room in her home. It was I think it was called The War Room. And she had all the prayers of everybody all over the wall. And she would go in that room, she would shut the door. And only that was that room was this small little room, but she had all these prayers. And this would be her prayer room, her war room, where she would pray for people, where she would send energy out to individuals, because it was a small space. That always reminded me of me connecting to spirit. Because when I was young, we had an older house, and underneath the staircase, I felt years later when they had Harry Potter, and he was snuck underneath the staircase in this little room, and they had a lock on the door. Now, I was locked in this little room on the staircase, but my parents didn't use the room. It was just didn't use the room. So I built a little bench in there. I had little things on the wall. It was my little prayer room, my little get in contact with spirit room. My mother knew that. It was my little space, my vibrational space that I would go into and speak to spirit, because it was a small space and I could make the energy stronger in that space. So find a space that you can find that connection to spirit, that connection to the vibration of spirit. Work on your breathing. Work on how you perceive spirit. How breathe when you feel spirit? Do you stop breathing? Do you not breathe? Do you get, I don't know. What do you do when how is your breath when you're sitting still? You breathe in for 8, hold it for 9, breathe out for 10. I don't know. How do you personally breathe? Get an idea of the rhythm of your breath. Get an idea of that. Find how you breathe. So when you are seeing spirit and they take you to the golden city and you're about ready to look at all this stuff, and you stop breathing and you come out of it and you go, oh my God, I want to get back there. You can't get back there. It's like, it's awful hard to get back to the exact same situation, exact same vibration you were looking at when you were there. It's kind of hard to get back to it. It is. So over the years, remember, over the years, I've had some awesome meditations, awesome connections to spirit, but I've never been able to get back to some of them. And I would love to get back and see them again. But I think it's because I saw them because I needed that energy, that vibration at that given moment in my life. I don't need it now. I don't need to see that now. So it's not going to communicate to me exactly the same as it did when I needed it years ago. So trusting in your connection to, and trusting yourself, highest and best, nothing else. Trust in your vibration to the spirit world. What do you connect to? What do you feel like you want to communicate to? I always give my guides directions of what I would like to see. Some kind of direction. I don't want to go haphazard. Sometimes I want to go skipping through the spirit world, but most of the time I'm actually in it to get information, either from my higher self, information for somebody in the spirit world, maybe communication with a guide or somebody in the spirit world. Maybe I want to see a past life, maybe an incarnation that I've had. I asked my guides, do this at some point. Is there a past life, an incarnation that I lived, that the information from that lifetime will help me and encourage me in this one? Could you please show it to me? You'll either have a pretty vivid meditation about something like that within a few days, or it will affect your dream state, your lucid dreaming, your dream state, and you'll have a dream about a space or a vibration that you have some kind of connection when you don't really know what it is, but state your guides. No sense of getting the information, not having any idea what it means. State to them what you're looking for. What do you want to communicate with? I don't address all my stuff. I just address the vibration as being very focused. I notice when people do this work during this forward work, when they tell themselves, oh, I'm going to be open 24/7. I want to be like a beacon of light standing on a hill open 24/7. They are no longer in the work. They don't work the work. They don't work it. Because the problem is you just burn yourself out. It's like a firecracker that's done. Burn yourself out. You don't burn yourself out in the work. You don't want to burn yourself out with that communication, just be totally exhausted and not wanting to connect anymore. Then you're not getting any blessing from the spirit. You're getting the blessing, but you're not understanding. But having that moment with spirit, and see, during this work, it's those moments that you have with spirit, those moments when you have that. I got to tell you, before I end this, years ago when I was sick, told my guys, I said, I want to be healthy. You need to help me. There has to be a lifetime, an incarnation, or something in my life that I was perfectly healthy. Perfectly healthy. So you show that to me. You connect me to that lifetime and show me how that I can personally be healthy in this life. So I ended up in this, I thought at first it was like an Amazon jungle. And walking through the jungle, it was very extremely vivid. Walking through the jungle, I ended up on this round hut. And on the hut, I can still see all the symbols and all the vibration on that hut today. And there's a curtain, this curtain in front of the hut. And it had like a star on it, a gold star on it. And my guide moved the curtain. I went in and I sat across from a fire. I was on one side of the fire. There were these three gentlemen there on the other side of the fire, just looking at me. And they started mixing something in front of them. Each one had a bowl and they were mixing something. And they put it all together and added some water to it and poured it in a glass. They told me, drink this, drink it. So I'll drink it. So I drank it. Not too long after that vibration happened, my health got extremely well, extremely good. Is it because I drank the special stuff they gave me in the spirit world? Or did I just make myself healthy? I don't know. But I was there. I could feel it. I knew that was there. I could feel spirit there saying, drink this, you'll feel better. So when you're looking for something in your life, whether it's prosperity, a companion in your life, don't just look for a companion, look for someone for your highest and best. No sense you drag an extra weight. Most of us have enough luggage. We don't need somebody else to drop their duffel bags up and then we're just dragging them too. Somebody for your highest and best to travel with you, to help you, to encourage you so you can help and encourage them so they can follow you in this earth plan, to be healthy, to have enough prosperity within your life, to have a comfortable life, to live a very comfortable life. Whatever you need in your life, ask them for it. It's there. My guide told me, some lifetime, some incarnation, you were extremely healthy, extremely prosperous. You had beautiful relationships. You had people who loved you, that worshiped the ground you walked on. Those were within the cells within your body. The memory within your being that you carry today is the memory of all the lifetimes you've ever lived. So if you ask to see that lifetime, that incarnation, that energy vibration, that is you, they'll be able to show you what you need to do in this lifetime. And a lot of it's through mind thought. A lot of it's through thought of how you perceive. That's why you do affirmations, you do mantras, you do different things in your life, whatever works for you, to change the mind thought, to change the thought within your being, to change it to a more positive thought that allows the positive energy to become. If you constantly think about negative thoughts, or I don't have any money, I'll never get any money, I'll never be here, no, you're always going to probably not have money. If I'm so sick, I'm always going to be sick. My parents were sick. They died from being sick. My parents died of a heart attack. I probably died of a heart attack. Blah, 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 blah. And it just goes on and on and on. What you're doing is you're just attracting that from the spirit world, that feeling of that energy from the spirit world. So address your guides. Allow yourself to sit quiet. Listen to spirit. Listen to them. Allow them to speak to you. Allow them to have that communication with you. Allow them to communicate with you. Because a lot of the time, the communication you're going to get from the spirit world, not every one of your guides, it's going to be your higher self. That part of you that's still connected to the divine, that's still connected to the divine. That essence, that piece of you that's still connected to the divine is the information that you receive in this lifetime from that. And that information that is downloaded into you from the divine will change your life. But first, we have to get to the divine. First, we have to get there. And that's through quiet, working, putting your energy into it, and then allowing your spirit guides to do that. So I hope you enjoyed today. Remember, next week, we're going to do this again every 3 o'clock. I don't think it's, maybe it's next week or the week. I think it's the week after that. I'll be doing readings. I'll show you different types of readings, actually do give people readings here. We'll do different types of readings on the situation. So that'll give you an idea of how readings work, how they connect, different types of vibrations of readings. You go, oh, I like that. I like that works. And how spirit works in different modalities and different vibrations. So I want to thank you for being here today. And I hope I'll see you next week. Hope I see you next week. And if you were part of the storm, and part of, I hope you're doing well. I hope you are, it came out okay for all of you, and it's just awesome. So, I mean, we didn't have much damage here. So